Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
New Cody Shody? Okay, cool. Yay! Okay, we're definitely watching this. This is exactly the topic I wanted. All right, chat. So the anti-Asian stuff. You know what? Let's watch Happy Joe Biden Criticism Day from some more news. This is exactly the type of video I want to see. 25 minutes long. Not an hour. Not 2 hours. Snaps, dustpan, thank you. Okay.
That's
well,
praxis.
we did it, chat. We did it. That's praxis. We've achieved socialism in one generation because of all the gifted subs you gave to me on Twitch.tv. You did it. You did it, chat. All right, let's hop into this Cody Shody.
Hello, and welcome to the News Zone. No good? Okay, well, whatever. Because today is a very special occasion.
Do a little react.
Today is Biden Criticism Day. Merry
Hug.
deriding Biden Day, everyone. Get out your balloons and your traditional eggs with angry faces drawn on them for children to smash open and eat the raw yolks inside. That's right. It's the one day a year we're allowed to criticize Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., the president. We couldn't do it before the primary because that was sowing division within the party. We couldn't do it after the primary because do you want to get Trump elected? We couldn't do it after Biden was elected because come
Flex
on,
move, thank
give
you.
him time
Marxist
to do
veganist.
stuff. Sure,
Hope
he's already
mindless.
started selecting his cabinet and laying out his plans for his first month in office, but everyone knows this is the mulligans period where we just kind of let the president explore himself, you know, break some promises, bomb some folks, just let him play around in the space, you know? You have to yes and the president. You can't go no but or please don't or oh God why, but it's a special day, people. It's been exactly 89 days since Biden was officially confirmed to be elected and 132 days since election day. So just enough time has passed that it's the one time of the year that we can criticize President Biden without wanting Trump back or being okay with fascism in the White House or wanting instead to get skull-fucked by a demonic overlord whose presidential podium is made out of human corpses and mummified dicks. So we have about less than an hour before we get too close to the midterms to say anything bad about Biden, so let's get into it. Oh, but before I do, legally, I am obligated to talk about some of the genuinely good things Biden has done. Otherwise, it means I secretly prefer Trump, and so on a technicality, Trump gets to be president again, because that's how things work. So, I've got to fill up the come on man-o-meter until it's full. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Biden signed an executive order returning us to the Paris Climate Accord, signaling maybe a slightly less rapid gallop towards destroying the planet. He also renewed the START treaty with Russia, the only remaining treaty we have with Russia to help stave off a nuclear war. Cool! Slightly butthole clenching, but cool. Biden also rescinded a number of horrible Trump executive orders, like Trump's anti-union legislation attacking federal employee unions, Trump's anti-diversity training ban, Trump's wall executive order, and travel ban against Muslims. You know, the blatantly racist stuff, which we're not doing anymore now as much, really, kind of. I mean, we're not giving visa recipients their visas that were racistly denied under Trump, but look, come on, man! What do you want? No racist xenophobia in the United States? How could we even call ourselves America?
How dare
Biden also
we?
revoked the permit Trump granted to the Keystone XL pipeline and selected Deb Haaland for the position of Secretary of the Interior. Deb Haaland is hated by the oil
And she actually was appointed, chat. She succeeded. She's in. Deb Haaland is now Interior Secretary.
gas industry for her bold, radical position of maybe not destroying the earth so much. She's a proponent of the Green New Deal and is the first Native American to be selected for the role. And hey, Big news, the $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus bill. Now, it's true that the Biden administration just kind of folded on the whole, hey, maybe people deserve a $15 livable wage thing, which, trust me, I will talk about later in my characteristically incredulous and frustrated, upsetty Cody voice. But a $1.9 trillion stimmy bill is pretty good news in a country that hates spending money on helping people almost as much as it loves spending money on things designed with the sole purpose of killing people. Now, the stimmy bill is expected to cut child poverty in half. Maybe we'll do the whole thing next time. And most of the $1.9 trillion
All right, chat, I need to turn off the captions just while the meter is filling. The come on man meter is filling up. The come on man meter. So I don't want you to miss it, okay?
Money is directed towards lower income people, which is a nice departure from Trump's steal from the poor to give to the rich and then kill the poor with a deadly virus policy. It's also more generous than previous Democratic presidents' economic plans, like the recession stimulus under Obama. So, hey, despite reports that better things aren't possible, it seems that maybe they kind of are. Biden also believes that coronavirus exists, is bad, and doesn't think vaccines are Bill Gates' way of tracking your location and putting poop in your blood. Which reminds me, actually, how to stop companies from tracking my location with vaccines specifically.
Put that on my
smartphone down. Anyway, he's also not actively trying to start a civil war on Twitter. He just walks around all day, apparently. And oh, hey, we did it. We filled up the meter. And look, other than being obligated to give Biden his kudos due to the antiquated rituals of Biden Criticism Day, I also think it's important to note where there's actually some progress. It doesn't mean I love Biden and want him to sit on my face until I die, but I think it's important to show that pressure from the public for some better things to happen can make better things happen. And hey, guess what? There's a lot of better things that could happen, even now, because I know this is shocking, but maybe Biden's not perfect. So, let's talk about some maybe not...
And by the way, it's so funny how quickly I say stuff and then I get backed up by people that rule. Before we get into this, I'm going to go back to the old Twitter account, which is very important. If you care about the stream, you got to follow the Twitter. Where I was like, if I see another liberal defending the condition on the border with children in detention, I might lose my mind. Now, I got a lot of replies to this, a lot of shit replies, and I was like, huh. My lib dipshit meter is ringing. Why is that? Hello, I am upset about undocumented, unaccompanied children being detained at the border, but I have absolutely no alternatives in mind. I have absolutely no idea what the difference is between now and under Trump, and honestly, I just want to be really mad at liberals, so please, LOL. This is the kind of mental prison they have to live in, because they can't criticize Biden in any substantive way. This is your brain on liberalism, chat. We have a lot of alternatives in mind. First of all, allow children to come with their parents to apply for asylum. That might stop the whole unaccompanied children coming alone. That might help reduce the number of those children, you know? Secondly, I don't know, being prepared for something that already happened in 2014 when Obama was president. Remember? You were following politics back then, right? In 2014, the unaccompanied children came from the same places that they're coming now. Maybe, I don't know, the Democrats should have had a plan that didn't involve using Trump's facilities or keeping children for weeks, not at the Office of Refugee Resettlement, but actually in Border Patrol agencies. You know, Border Patrol stations, which even Biden's own Secretary of Housing and Human Services says is no place for children. Maybe the fact that the BBC just reported that the children don't have access to soap, don't have the access to food, might be a reason to criticize a Biden and get him, I don't know, to do stuff faster so that children, I don't know, don't suffer. Maybe. Could be. Maybe it might be worth doing. I don't know.
Great things Biden has done. And I get to say these criticisms of Biden without it meaning that I secretly want Trump to sit on my face until I die. Happy Biden Criticism Day. I'll start.
I'm going to ignore everything you say and just repeat myself. You don't have solutions. Well, it's important to see the difference between what centrists do when they talk to the left versus what do they talk to the left. When centrists talk to the right, when centrists talk to the right, they act cordial, they are kind, they bend over backwards, and they always are trying to steelman their opposition. When liberals talk about the left, they lie, they poison the well, they attack them personally, they make up total bullshit, they're completely hypocritical, and then they don't actually address the argument. Notice the difference. Libs really don't like leftists because they show that their pragmatism, aka selling out to the existing system and not fighting it in any meaningful way, is a personal moral failing. And they don't like that because their narcissism makes them believe they're a good person. So therefore, their beliefs have to be the only correct and good beliefs. And if you say that actually liberals don't go far enough, you must be a bad person because you're attacking their narcissistic conception of themselves. That's what happens.
Start with some important stuff, like Earth explodey levels of importance. Recently, Biden authorized an airstrike on Syria, targeting alleged Iran-backed militias, which are being blamed for an attack on an airport in northern Iraq, during which an American military contractor died. The Biden administration is open about how these strikes in Syria are
one of our mercenaries died. U.S. military, U.S. mercenaries. You know, mercenaries, the thing that's illegal under international law, the thing we're not allowed to have, the thing that we do anyway, the mercenaries that died. A mercenary died. Huh. Why was that mercenary there? Who was paying for that mercenary?
Warning to Iran. President Biden said he intended to send the message that you can't act with impunity. Be careful, Jack. Now, I know this might be a controversial take, but bombing and killing people in Syria could be problematic, a bad look, if you will. First is the trouble with the legality, in that it's not legal, legally speaking. Airstrikes against Syria without authorization by Congress or by the UN are illegal, both under U.S. law and international law, according to legal expert Professor Mary Ellen O'Connell, as well as congressional Democrats, who cite Article 1 of the Constitution that only allows military action if authorized by Congress. Second is that there doesn't seem to be very good evidence for the justification for the attack, that it was retaliation against Iran-backed militias. Military officials have indicated that they don't have concrete evidence about who was responsible for the airport bombing in Iraq. According to an LA Times article, Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said as of February 23rd, the U.S. wasn't able to give certain attribution as to who was behind these attacks.
So in other words, we went and illegally bombed Syria without UN or congressional authorization, killing 22 people for an attack that we cannot positively prove was from those people.
That's praxis.
That was a war crime.
And it was Thursday, February 25th, when the airstrike was carried out, with no update on the U.S. getting any new information or being able to give certain attribution. So it seems that the attack was carried out illegally, based on little, if any, evidence, which, if it exists, is not being shared with the public. But even if it was a very legal, very cool, and very evidence-based murder, would it be a good idea? Because the stated purpose is to jab Iran in the chest while growling, "Hey, listen, you horse-dogged corn soldier." You know, waving our war dick around, a thing we think is good now. Trump war dick, tiny mushroom.
Thanks, Sonic.
Biden war dick, thick and veiny. You know how jabbing voters in the chest is good when it's our guy?
We gotta stop building and replacing pipelines. We gotta go vote for somebody else.
But this all seems like kind of maybe a bad idea when we're at a very critical time in negotiations with Iran. Right now, the U.S. is trying to strike a new nuclear deal with Iran since, you know, Trump unilaterally pulled out of it and broke our end of the bargain. You know who should have pulled out? Trump's dad. Boom. Yeah. Take that, disgraced president no longer in power. Are we not doing that anymore? We're not getting internet money for cheap Trump jokes? Your dad should have pulled out when he came in your mom. All right, anyway, I guess I have to shift over to shilling for crypto like the Krasensteins. Even more alarming.
Whoa. Shilling for crypto like the Krasensteins. I don't know about that. I think that you should probably hit the YouTube. You should probably hit YouTube. You got a fellow progressive YouTuber. I don't know, chat. There might be another progressive YouTuber.
Alright, so I think it's time to do this video about David Pakman, because what we're seeing here is definitely very questionable, and it just does not seem very legit. It seems pretty fake. As you guys know, David now got 45. So Hannity whines about ultramillionaires to like to dislike.
This is a different type of margin trading. Wow, David, thank you for the heads up on the new ways we can play the market. Thank you, David Pakman. Totally progressive. Total progressive. Anyway, going on.
Though, is the fact that the Biden administration doesn't seem to know how to negotiate with Iran. Quincy Institute co-founder and former president of the National Iranian American Council, Trita Parsi, points out that Iran is unlikely to want to negotiate until Trump-era sanctions are lifted. Because, here's the thing, under Trump, we broke our nuclear agreement with Iran, and as an added f*** you, continued to impose sanctions until Trump's very last days in office. If Biden wants to start off with a clean slate with Iran, he'd need to lift Trump's sanctions, which Biden is playing a game of no, you first, demanding Iran stops enriching uranium. Which, again, since the US broke the nuclear agreement, Iran has no reason not to enrich uranium. So making this demand when we've been the ones breaking all our promises is like Jay-Z is the US, Beyonce is Iran, Jay-Z cheats on Iran, and then gets mad at Beyonce for enriching uranium. Is this making sense? I'm clearly not a foreign diplomacy expert, despite my perfect Beyonce analogy. But here's how expert Trita Parsi puts it. Quote, Biden's attitude has been that the U.S. simply is not responsible for the actions of the Trump administration. All the U.S. needed to do to regain the moral high ground was to elect a new president, even though the new president is continuing the policies of the old president.
This is the way Americans actually believe. This reminds me of when, if you traveled abroad when Bush was president, every American was like, oh, I don't like Bush. I had nothing to do with Bush. Why do you not like Americans? I didn't do anything with Bush. And they were shocked. Shocked when everybody's like, Americans, you suck. You fucking elected Bush. He's a warmonger. You guys are pieces of shit. Every American would get so butthurt about that. Would be like, it's not fair that you're anti-American because of Bush. I didn't do Bush. It's not my fault. Except Joe Biden is doing that for international diplomacy. Instead of saying, listen, the United States of America broke the deal, and I understand why you would be concerned about America's future adherence to the deal should, say, another Republican get elected in 2024. And to show that this administration, at least, believes in good faith, I'm going to go back to square one. And then if Iran doesn't reciprocate, then you could talk about, okay, well, Iran is now intransigent. And then you could talk about something more reasonable, and you would have the support of the international community. But from everybody else's perspective but America, we're the ones that are the rogue state that's out of control and totally incoherent. It's like a person with a split personality and then walking into a room and going, oh, that wasn't me. That was my other personality, after they punched someone in the face. And then being like, how dare you arrest me for what my other personality did? Motherfucker, it's the same body. Sorry, bro.
Anyway, the point is, if Biden wants to negotiate with Iran, lifting sanctions and, I don't know, not bombing Syria might be a good place to start. Look, I'm no master negotiator, but like, if you were trying to do a diplomacy with me, I would like you to not kick me in the nuts or bomb my nuts or fly B-52 bombers over my nuts, something the Biden administration did earlier this month. I mean, well, they flew military warplanes over the Persian Gulf. It's not, they haven't threatened my nuts. Not yet, anyway. Hey, you know what else is totally da bomb? Earning slightly above a poverty wage. Woohoo! Anyway, the radical demand to be paid just enough money to be able to live while working full-time is meeting an incredible amount of resistance from people paid more than enough money to be able to live. You see, progressives, and even allegedly Biden, wanted to add a minimum wage increase of $15 an hour to the COVID relief package. Maybe we could honor the essential workers that we've entrusted our lives with by giving them a wage they can live on, you know? In addition to honoring them with bobbleheads and Funko Pop figurines. But enter the Senate parliamentarian, pictured here, an unelected group of official advisors who hold no real legal authority and can be overruled at any time by the head of the Senate, who just so happens to be Vice President Kamala Harris. Typically, the head of the Senate won't exert these powers due to it being uncouth ribaldry, and that historically, the parliamentarian retaliates by releasing a herd of wild goats during rutting season into the Senate chambers. So the Biden administration could overrule the parliamentarian, but, you know, the goats. In fact, Biden is so committed to his defeat, in early February, he already privately told governors that the minimum wage hike won't pass. Biden defenders are quick to say that even if VP Harris overruled the parliamentarian, conservative Democrat Joe Manchin secretly holds all the power and would vote against the COVID relief
He would have blocked
bill,
it.
with Biden powerless to do anything about it. In fact, Bernard Sanders' recent amendment to force the $15 wage to be part of the COVID relief bill failed, with every Republican voting against it, predictably, and 7 Democrats, including Joe Manchin, John Tester, Jeanne Shaheen, Maggie Hassan, Chris Coons, Tom Carper, and Kirsten Sinema, all voted against it, sometimes with weirdly chipper glee.
Miss Cinema. No.
Ha 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 ha. Fuck you. But as people got kind of upset at this very twee middle finger to people earning poverty wages, Sinema's defense is hiding behind the parliamentarian ruling, saying the minimum wage provision is not appropriate for the reconciliation process. It is not a budget item, and it shouldn't be in there. And while citing archaic Senate rules is probably not going to stop people from being upset at this clip of Sinema, I guess it might appease the traditional angry goats the parliamentarian might release into the Senate. So here's the logic. The Biden administration can't overrule the parliamentarian and include the minimum wage into the COVID relief bill because it's rude. And Democrats are voting against
Thanks, Mustachioed Cthulhu. Glad you found me. Thanks for the tier 1.
Bernie's amendment to include the minimum wage into the bill because they're shrugging and saying they can't possibly go against the parliamentarian, something that will be of great comfort to voters as they try to work 3 jobs in order to pay their bills. God, they'll say, I mean, I can't pay for both food and my child's doctor appointments, but at least the parliamentarian, some unelected person we've never heard of, is being respected even though nothing says they have to be. This is totally worth Lisa not getting braces, they'll say. If the Biden administration did flex its power, and VP Harris did overrule the parliamentarian, would it change anything? According to apologists, no, because Manchin would just vote against it. So we want the minimum wage raised, but the parliamentarian says no, and we could overrule the parliamentarian, but if we did, Manchin wouldn't be on board. So I guess, why bother in the first place? Why pretend if you're just going to pass the buck to whomever? But also, overruling would potentially change things because it turns out using your power does actually have an effect. While it wouldn't guarantee Manchin would vote for the COVID relief bill, he would be forced to vote against an incredibly popular and critical bill in order to tank another incredibly popular move to increase the minimum wage. What's the word for it's like doing strategic maneuvers as president in order to try to get your policies passed. It's like
politics.
It's like a piece, polemics, poltergeists, possum, politics. That's it. Doing some politics. Something we were assured Biden was good at during the primary. But you may wonder, Dems have the majority of votes in the Senate. Why does the parliamentarian matter? Why does the fate of the entire U.S. rest in the hands of this Mr. Jim Parliamentarian? Well, The Senate filibuster means Democrats need 60 votes to pass bills that aren't directly related to federal taxation or spending. The filibuster works this way. Senators can delay or stop voting on a bill by speaking as long as they wish, which actually no longer requires anyone to physically speak. The only way to stop a filibuster is through the 3/5 rule, where 60 out of 100 senators vote to bring the filibuster debate to a close. So if Republicans and blue dog Democrats refuse to end filibusters, surely that will stop Biden from doing anything progressive without being his fault? Aw, shucks.
Oh, no.
Darn. Guess we just have to go with the status quo. Aw.
Oh no, man. The filibuster. Oh well, I guess we're gonna lose all those elections due to voter suppression and gerrymandering. Oh. It's not fair. The Democrats, we can't win. Oh, we won? Oh, we can't exercise our power. The meanie Republicans. Okay, they blocked us when we had power. And then they gerrymandered and voter suppressed us to lose again. Oh, shucks. We're so close to winning. Well, we'll make a bunch of changes. $5 billion political donations, please. Oh, it's going to all my friends and relatives. They're the ones making money off of the charade. Oh, no. What a shame. We can't do it. Oh, as long as if we elected 60 senators, would it work? Oh, wait, no. Because then it wouldn't be 60 voter. It wouldn't be 60 senators because Joe Manchin would then vote to uphold the filibuster. So we actually need to get 62 senators who are progressive. And since the senators are so representative, there's like 15 seats we could win reasonably. Oh, I guess that'll never happen. I guess we just got to give up on doing politics.
Heckin' darn it to damn. It's not like we can just change the filibuster. It's been this way since time immemorial, in the ancient age of 2013 and 2017, when Senate Republicans used the nuclear option to reduce the number of votes needed to end the filibuster, to get their nominations through. Wait, you can just do that? Yeah, the nuclear option can be used to end debate using a simple majority. The reason Democrats don't like to use it is that it's super rude. And they fear retaliation from Republicans, who already used the nuclear option to get their shit passed, so... Did I mention it's super rude, though?
We're the good guys. We can't just do stuff.
There are a lot of actions by the Biden administration that I like to call the read the fine print of politics. Ending children in cages? Check. Now they're in overflow facilities. Those eager to jump to the defense of the Biden administration might think, well, what else are we gonna do with all these unaccompanied minors? We can't leave them on the streets. And Biden did try to do a moratorium on deportations for 100 days, but was blocked by a Trump judge. So what the heck can the guy do? Come on, man, cut me a break, you corn horse. Well, there are a few things Biden could do. The inhumanity of how we treat undocumented migrants is not limited to Trump's concentration camps or Biden's overflow facilities. Since the pandemic started, asylum seekers have been summarily turned away at the border, even though they legally have the right to seek asylum in the U.S. Making the border more friendly to families to cross would mean fewer unaccompanied minors. Biden is
Which is actually what I argued yesterday, Chad. I'm glad to see Cody's catching up.
Signaling that he's open to this, indicating he'll repeal Trump's Remain in Mexico policy.
Chat, why do we have such good karma? Oh, that's right. We're good people. This is something that happens to me where I say something, it gets challenged dismissively by some lib, and then immediately I'm 100% proven right completely. And they all just kind of avoid talking about that reality.
That sent asylum seekers, no matter what country they belong to Mexico to await their trial.
Are there any other developed democracies that have an undemocratic legislature as the Senate? No.
Asylum seekers are so often turned away at the border.
That's somewhat untrue because most unaccompanied minors don't show up with family at all, so it's not like we have a family to keep them with. Well, okay, that B guy. What we're talking about is right now, Biden deports families that come together. He doesn't deport unaccompanied children. Okay? So imagine you are a family fleeing persecution. You get to the American border and you hear you can't apply as a family. If you go in all together, they're going to deport all of you and your kids back to El Salvador. So you look at your 7-year-old and you say, honey, I love you. And you sent the 7-year-old by themselves. And now that 7-year-old is now an unaccompanied minor. Does that mean that all unaccompanied minors would end? No. Sometimes families can't afford to all go and they only send their young child to escape because they sacrifice themselves to save their only child or whatever. That happens too. Yes, that's the horrible hell world we live in. Welcome. But Biden is creating that first group. He's creating and incentivizing that group. Let people who are legally allowed to apply for asylum end the Trump policy that prevents it. Joe can do that.
Unaccompanied children are less likely to be turned away. Families are put into the horrible position of sending their unaccompanied children to make the treacherous journey to avoid even steeper dangers in their home countries. There are countries in South America where migrants are trying to escape massive wealth inequality, gang violence, and authoritarian governments, which might have something to do with the US's involvement in numerous military-backed anti-left-wing coups in South America, which are so—
Scott Princess at tier 3 for 20 months. Can we get a knee bend for Scott Princess? Can we get a knee bend for Scott Princess? 20 months, tier 3. Amazing. Thank you so much.
extensive, the Wikipedia table of contents on it looks like this. This is what's so bizarre about the defense of these overflow facilities.
Christ.
There's a larger issue, the inhumanity of tearing apart families by making refugee border crossings so risky. Press Secretary Jen Psaki defended the overflow facilities, saying, "It is never our intention of replicating the immigration policies of the past administration, but we are in a circumstance where we are not going to expel unaccompanied minors at the border. That would be inhumane. That is not what we're going to do here as an administration."
Mr. Fancy Pants, thank you.
So,
and Alex Singleton.
It's inhumane to turn away minors, but not adults, even though adults also may be facing death in their home countries. Or is it just easier to rationalize cruelty against adults? The problem is it's not just inhumane to turn kids away at the border. It's inhumane to turn their parents away. It's inhumane to create a system that forces parents to send their children alone to the US because that's the best chance they have at survival. It's inhumane to turn any refugee away, especially those who face almost certain death upon deportation to the country from which they were fleeing. What's weird is that Biden himself may be open to taking actions that would end the need for these facilities, such as increasing the number of refugees allowed in the US, signaling to families that they could go with their children to the border. But without strong messaging, say Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying they are going to end families being turned away at the border, refugees are still going to remain wary of being able to travel with their children to the US. This is one reason it's so important not to simply shrug our shoulders at the explanations for things like child overflow facilities. We need to continue to put pressure on the Biden administration to address the root problem, and by pressure, yes, I do mean tweet. Otherwise, you get people inadvertently defending pictures of Trump's migrant concentration camps because they mistakenly think they're Biden's. Or we'll get, reports about the terrible conditions of these places still. In some cases, facilities at 729% capacity. It seems bad. Another read the fine print Biden accomplishment is his executive order phasing out private prison contracts, which is great! Asterisk, in tiny text, does not apply to ICE detention centers. In fact, private prison contractors make huge amounts of their money through ICE detention centers. These private contractors are paid based on beds being full, meaning they get paid more if there are more people detained, which seems like it's like a conflict of interest if we want to start phasing out migrant concentration camps. I'm sorry, migrant concentration facility.
And they get like $750 per kid per day. $750 per kid per day. Pretty sure the government could do that cheaper.
facilities at 729% capacity. Maybe these things are related. I don't know. This read the fine print trick was most stunningly applied to Biden and the Democrats' promise of $2,000 checks, which then turned into $1,400 plus the $600 Trump gave you and no money down, which then turned into $1,400 for some people, we guess. Which is the kind of kept campaign promise that really gets people to vote for you in the future. Either a profound failure of messaging or a lie. Either way, not great. The Biden administration also promised more transparency by releasing White House visitor logs. Asterisk, fine print, but not visitor logs of virtual meetings, which is, you know, the primary type of visit going on during the pandemic. Curse you, Biden! You have used the cyberspace against us! And this part isn't even in the fine print, it's just bizarre. The Biden administration is siding with Arizona Republicans on voting limits. You see, voter fraud, that thing that doesn't really happen much at all ever, is being used in Arizona as a justification to impose more restrictions on voters, like cutting back on allowing voting to happen on Sunday, which has historically been an important time for black voters to cast their ballots. Bizarrely, the Biden administration sent a letter to the Supreme Court siding with Arizona and calling their restrictions lawful. Instead of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, it feels like the Biden administration is doing a sick kickflip and jackknife directly into the defeat jaws while yelling, "We're doing it for the vine!" Now, even though this is Biden Criticism Day and people are legally required to just let me have this one, I know there are probably people out there thinking, Cody, why do you love Trump so much? Would you have preferred he win the election and killed everyone with COVID nukes? But to say that leftists would prefer Trump when we criticize Biden is like, say someone tries to feed you cat food, and you're like, well, hey, I don't want to eat this cat food. And they're like, oh, I guess you'd rather eat a pile of cat shit and barf and piss, huh? So, you know, look, I'll eat some cat food, but I don't have to like it, and I get to critique the flavor and mouthfeel of the cat food, just as I get to critique the mouthfeel of Biden. It's good and healthy to criticize our leaders, even when they're not cartoonishly evil.
He's gonna do it, chat.
Most leaders and people in power aren't going to follow the Trump mold of openly talking about the many horrible crimes they plan on committing. Biden may be better than Trump, but we're still allowed to demand more than the bare minimum. A fascinating thing happened during the Trump era, where people would get mad at Trump for doing a thing, and then discover it's just a thing presidents do. And now that he's gone, instead of following that instinct, we're just like, let him do whatever. You know, he's the president. I trust him. It's not healthy. People sometimes misinterpret criticism of Biden as cynicism, but demanding better things and believing a better world is possible is actually the definition of optimism.
Yes, it is.
Cynicism is when you go, hey, this is better than the literal Nazi who a flag on stage. What more do you want out of life?
That's cynicism.
That's literal let them eat cake attitude, or let them eat cat food, I guess. So
humble suggestion. You should have a weekly segment with Jamie Peck. Yeah, sure. That's a good idea.
Thank God my cake's here.
Chat. Hey mods, can you do a poll? Do you guys want a weekly or bi-weekly segment with Jamie Peck on the Central Committee? Do a poll. Do a poll. We got it. We got mods here. Do a poll. Are we gonna do the poll? Mods, are you gonna do the poll? You're gonna make me do the poll?
So. He needs more cat food, actually. Hey everybody, we cut away, but I definitely ate the cat food. Please believe me. Anyway, like and subscribe, and also comment, and Patreon, and Even More News Podcast. And
Give the gay Jamie the stream cake
store. Thanks. Salud.
Okay, mods, I
Oh,
want
God.
you to screenshot this poll when it's done and send it in the Discord. All right. Wow, that was incredibly good. The Cody Shody video was incredibly good, and I'm gonna actually link it. I want you all to go throw that, give it a like, you know, make sure you subscribe to Cody. That was short, it was sweet, and it was packed with goodness. Very, very good. Very, very, very good. And one of the things is, if you find yourself going, well, I mean, it could be worse, then you're probably fucking up. Okay? You're probably fucking up. It doesn't mean that sometimes, you know, it's the world is complicated. Sometimes you have to enjoy the small victories while pushing for more. Right? That is the key. That is the key. My first exposure to Cody was that video we watched a few days ago, the rear and review. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for carrying me through my mornings. You are my first sub ever, by the way. Wow, Shoei Meyer, thanks for the tier 1. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Former Majority Report producer, current host of Antifa podcast, all around awesome person. Yeah, and she's written in a lot of major publications. She's also pretty big in the New York City DSA. She helped found what was known as the Emerge Caucus. So Jamie Peck is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yang with the hot takes. Oh no. Racism is dehumanizing. I think he might have gotten one right, chat. He may have gotten one right. Andrew Yang may have gotten one right. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy. The morning politics guy. Politics Frogs in every single day. Same time, 10 a.m. Day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You gotta follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.